But what we have here, the IO, is a fully automated extractor, and it's recipe driven, whether you want to make shatter, live resin, diamonds, sauce. Load the biomass and hit start, and fully automated.
Whoa, I'd love to just see this in action. Is there anyone around the area you think we can go check out?
Yeah, we can definitely take you out to a customer site.
Okay.
Thanks for coming down. We're now at a customer facility. It's Emerald Valley. They're kind enough to let us take a tour and see what they're using and how they're liking the IO equipment. Let's go.
Cool.
Hey, George. How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you, Kyler.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Valley Processing, we're essentially a recreational processor for the Oregon market. We're a vertically integrated company. We have grows, we have stores, and we have a wholesale license, and this is essentially our processing facility where we do all of our extracts, and we will do toll processing for people, we will do white labeling for some people, and a lot of our own processing as well for our own products.
Do you have experience with extraction before this business?
Yeah, so actually this facility was originally a hemp facility. I managed the whole build out of it from the ground up. When we started here, there was just a roof and there was dirt floors, and we essentially built everything you see from literally the ground up. We already knew we wanted to go to hydrocarbons. We wanted to do essentially one of the top systems that you could find on the market, and so I started calling around pricing systems with throughput in mind, and essentially I knew of Luna, reached out to them. They were more expensive than other people, but the difference between, say, Luna and their next competitor that had the same throughput was $50,000 to $70,000, and that is more or less a year's salary of a good operator that's going to sit in that room all day long and run a manual system. So that was a pretty easy decision to say we should probably go to automation, spend a little extra on the Luna, and then have all of our people that are running this be able to do a bunch of other processes and spend, 10, 15 minutes tops every hour, hour and a half to swap out material, do a pour, and then they can go back and do analytics, they can go do post-processing, they can prep bags for the next day.
How about training employees? Is that a little easier?
It is far easier, where I would have to teach someone how to run a pump, how to run filtration, how to run distillation, how to run isolation for if you're going to isolate. For this, I say, this is how you load the material, this is how you safely pour, this is how you press stop, and this is how you press start.
How do you prepare the material?
So we essentially, this is our workstation where we weigh out the material, where we will have a tote, we'll put our material here, we'll figure out how much material we want to run, what size bags we're going to make, and then after that we take them into the warehouse over here and we pack a bag in the biomass packer. So
let's check that out.
Yeah,
that packer sounds cool.
Yeah. So essentially this is the biomass packer. You put the biomass into here, and we can actually do it if you want me to do it. And then you put your sock on the end and you push the material out.
Would you mind if we made one?
Yeah,
that would be really nice. Man, this must save so much time.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time, and it also, the consistency is good, and it increases the amount of material you can fit in the system. So if you couldn't do this, you could fit probably half the amount of material.
Oh, wow.
And it depends on the material, but like buds, for example, or actual like nug runs, those are gonna be a lot harder to fit into the machine unless you pack it down and squish it all up and compress it into a puck. So it's gonna probably look like a half bag.
Is it a problem to run a half a bag?
No, not at all.
And that's more or less our decision was, this is a really high cannabinoid strain, 33%, 30 to 33%. So you don't want to do a full bag, ideally, for our process. We like to do a little bit smaller bags if it's a high testing strain like this. It just seems to get a better full extraction if you do that. We're still going to yield off of this half bag. We're going to yield more than a full bag of trim, by far, probably twice as much. So it looks like it's half the size, but it's really going to be double the output.
How killer.
So for dry material, they're doing their runs, packing their run for like a day or two. But on fresh frozen, this comes in super useful since space is much more important, and having the freezer space, compacting that into logs. We'll pack 2 to 3 weeks ahead of logs,
that makes sense.
so that we can actually save freezer space, because the freezer space is obviously a lot more hard to get than space for dry material.
Yeah.
So this is a really big game changer for fresh frozen and being able to use maximum use out of your freezer.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So essentially this is your dashboard for the Luna. You have your solvent tanks here. This is the solvent level that's in each tank. This is the temperature they're at. And this is the reactor, so this is where your material is at. Your material is in there currently and it is soaking. And this is the distillation column. So this is where the oil goes and the solvent goes, and then the hot water heater that you saw was circulating here through the building and through the room, and heating that up and recovering the solvent back into these solvent tanks. So you reuse that solvent over and over and over.
This is where you do 99% of the operation on the Luna. It's from the screen. You choose whatever recipe you have, either customized or chosen, depending on what you're running, what you're wanting to make. You load the biomass, you come out here and you hit start. The system is completely automated from that process to finish, when a message will appear saying it is either safe to open the material column and put in the new run, and then also when it's time to pour the finished oil.
There we go. So green light will flash. It'll say distillation's complete.
I see.
You guys want to get this?
So run's complete.
Run is complete. You don't have to acknowledge it yet.
Okay.
We'll let it keep going.
Okay.
So then you'll come in here. I will take this and we'll look into here, and I can see that it's ready to pour. And we'll pour it.
So he's pulling the previous run out, and he's able to pull that out and drop the new run in.
So how spent is that material?
There's going to be about 2% THCA left in it. Anywhere from 1 to 4% left in there. So we will acknowledge that the distillation is complete, and then we'll just press start. We've chosen to start an extraction process cycle, ensure that the reactor lid is properly fashioned, which is where we put the material. Press start.
So other systems that you've ran in a scale of, I guess, safety, How do you feel Luna stacks as far as a safety?
That's
feature?
pretty much one of the choices why we got it. It is 10 times safer, at least. I don't know. More or less,
put on a scale. Maybe
it is hard to put on a scale, but
you feel safer as an operator?
10 times safer, and I'm not in the room. So I am in the room for 5 to 10 minutes every hour, hour and a half. Where if it's a manual system, you're in the room the entire time. You're making decisions, you're moving valves, you're essentially having the chance for making a mistake and sealing off something, building too much pressure, blowing a lid off, or like blowing out a PRV, or just spraying solvent all over the place. This removes pretty much all of that from it being able to happen because it's automated. You don't make any of the decisions yourself. So it just stopped the vacuum reactor check, and it's going to sit there for I think a minute, and then as long as that pressure doesn't change too much, it'll then start to fill and put solvent in there.
It's off topic, but I'm curious, what products do you make here?
All sorts of dabs, extracts, smokable extracts, carts, sugar sauce, batter, diamonds, and sauce.
So what else do you want to show us?
Do you want to see where it goes after the Luna?
Definitely.
So essentially we take the pans, we put them into, oh here, I'll just grab it and roll it in there.
Good here.
It really does smell good in here.
This is the room of good smells. So then we essentially take this extract. We would then do our finished metric work on it. We would adjust the weights for the solvent loss, and then we would then put it into one of the vacuum ovens to go further with the finished product. So as it gets heated up, the THCA is a crystal. It will essentially start precipitating and turn into a sugar. So it's right now it's pretty much a liquid. It's relatively liquidy, viscous and moving around. By the time it's done,
That looks like honey.
it's more like this, where there's clearly crystals growing out of it.
Wow, that is
it's
so
no
fragrant.
longer liquid. There's sometimes some sauce on top of it. So that's probably 4 days.
That is so fragrant, right when you open that up.
And that is actually the same strain. So that's Papaya Punch. Same thing we just ran here, but you can smell it a lot more because there's a little bit of solvent left in this that's kind of covering up that smell. This one has very little solvent left in it.
So you keep those covers on there just for cleanliness so no debris gets in it?
For cleanliness, but also to slow the evaporation of the solvent. So when you slow the evaporation of the solvent, you have a chance to grow bigger crystals. If you have that off, the solvent will evaporate as fast as it can, and you essentially would have more of a sugar or like a fine granular THCA crystal.
So that's what goes back to post-processing?
Yes, correct.
That's how you deviate the product?
Yep, exactly. And put this into here. And so then, like I was talking about earlier, sometimes you'll pour into a jar where you have, two good ones. So you could pour into a jar versus a pan with extra solvent left in it. So you essentially have your solvent in there that's very, very solventy. And then this one is more or less another, those are diamonds starting to form.
Yeah, it is, I can see that. Whoa.
And that is why you want solvent in there. So you're letting the solvent evaporate really slowly. It's actually just evaporating, going into the headspace of the jar and not leaving the jar. So it's still in there.
Sealed jar.
And correct, it's a sealed jar. And then the THC will start to grow really, really slowly. And the slower you grow, the bigger the crystals will be, and the bigger the crystals will form versus a sugar sauce. It's going to be like that, or the pan I showed you where there's no big diamonds growing in there. And then this is, say, a couple weeks after that, you're going to have your diamonds in there that are more or less in there. You can see there's actually larger formations, and it's not all just like a sugar.
And how long does this process generally take?
Anywhere from a week to 3 weeks to 2 months if you want. Depending on how much you want to spend on it, how much time you want to spend growing diamonds. You can grow big ones that take a little longer, or you can go for smaller crystals that more or less are what most people want. So like, you can go over here, and this would be essentially a pan of crystals that grew. And then we put this in a centrifuge, spin out all of the terpenes off of it, and you're left with just diamonds.
Yeah, those are nice and pure.
Yeah, so this would be like a 98 to 99% THCA, pretty pure. There's a little bit of terpenes left in it. Where that started, it was a little bit wetter, and then you would put that into our centrifuge right over there, and you can spin off all of the sauce off the crystals. So you use centrifugal force, you spin it really fast.
Sure.
So you put your extract into there, you then put that in the centrifuge, it spins at 1,500 RPMs, lots of G-force, and then all of the sauce will essentially force its way down there from high gravity. We'll send it all of the wetness down there, all your crystals will stay into there.
That's how you end up with this?
So then you end up with that, and then this is the sauce that was underneath it. So that would be at the bottom of the jar.
This is a separate product that you can also use.
This is a product you can either reformulate back into this, or you can use this to flavor your terp or your cartridges, or you can grow your crystals like this, and then you can add in your HTE at the ratio you prefer or you want. I can show you in our vault real quick if you want to see in there. We have a giant vault. So you can see High Tech is our indoor farm, so you'll see a bunch of High Tech farms. This is all pre-packaged, ready to sell pounds or half pounds. We have some extract in here. You come into here, we have an entire freezer refrigerated vault as well that has more of our extracts and more flour. All sellable finished gram extracts here, bulk extracts ready to be packaged there, and then just flour, dehumidifier, and storage space for more product.
Man, Josh, Kyler, that is so much fun to see. Thank you so much for your knowledge. Thank you for showing us around. Kyler, you and Jack have a really cool machine.
We appreciate you guys so much, and thank you so much, Josh, for
really
letting us come see what you're doing.
Heck yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you again, Tyler. Always a pleasure.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it. I'm Steve from Monster Gardens. Till next time.
So this is Luna Technologies business card, but it also has a USB drive on here that you can hook up to see all of their plans and all their drawings for their equipment.
That's sick.
It's amazing.
Whenever you're ready.
All right.
We're always rolling.
I'll do it.
And let me show you this one here, which is essentially the same process but further along.